Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. So today I'm going to share my insights about the recent Log4j exploitation. And my name is NaveenKumar. I've been doing performance testing and engineering for about more than 12 years. I run a blog called QAInsights and also run a YouTube channel with the same name where I create contents about performance testing, DevOps, and other trends in performance. So this is the snapshot of Google Trends for the last year from January to December 2021 for the keyword Log4j. So this is the worldwide interest over time for the just for the keyword Log4j. So if you see, apart from COVID, the tech thing was smooth till December 2021, but starting from December second week onwards, there has been a spike in the Log4j interest because of the recent exploitation. And even if you search in Twitter, LinkedIn, and Google today, you will get a lot of screen recordings, tools, GitHub repositories about how you can exploit using Log4j, and you can learn more things about the security issues. So before we get into the performance perspective of Log4j, I'd like to just share some basic information about the Log4j and its issue. So Log4j is one of the widely and famous open source project from Apache Software Foundation, and it is widely used Java-based logging utility. So Log4j is basically everywhere. Top tech giants like Apple, Google, Microsoft, everybody uses Log4j in their project. So this attack, this exploitation, that's why it's one of the reason it became viral, because everybody uses Log4j so that he can the attackers can easily exploit their system. So what is this Log4j exploitation? You could have learned more about these things in online, but I would like to just say a subset of the information which I collected from past couple months. So this log4 shell, the term itself, it's called log4 shell. It's a name given for the zero-day software vulnerability for the log4j2 utility. So what is zero-day software vulnerability? So zero-day means it will become publicly known before the whoever created that particular software. So that's why it went viral. And also there is another reason why it went viral and popular, because of the CVSS score. So this CVSS score is one of the CV rating which will be given by the community. So which is a 10 out of 10, which means it is critical and it is paramount to fix the issues in your host machines. So within 72 hours of the first release, publicly disclosed the CVE, which is 44228. So this is the root CVE for the Log4j issue. So within 72 hours, there have been 800K attacks happened already, and 1,000 plus exploits per minute, according to Cloudflare, happened. And the 44228, that particular CVE took multiple variants. So just like COVID has multiple variants like Delta, Omicron, so Log4j also took multiple variants, ended up in 45046 and 45105, and at last 44832. So as of today, so these are the commonly known Log4j vulnerabilities, but there are more to come. So Log4j thing is just getting started. Actually, it's not over it. So it might take multiple forms, but we should be very careful, and we have to prevent these kind of security incidents in our network. So before we start seeing about how we can prevent the performance infrastructure, I would like to share few information about this CVE stuff, because many of us comes from QA and performance background. I assume security audience is less in this group. So thought of sharing about what is CVE. So CVE is a database available online where you can search and learn more about publicly disclosed incidents. So this database will be very helpful for organizations, for the individuals who are interested in securing their network. So this website will have all the information about the CVE and what measures you can take by learning more about the incidents. So this CVSS, so this is the framework they follow to rate the particular incident, basically. So this rating comprises of multiple categories. So if you see here, this is the CVE rating for the incident 44228. So all the incidents will have the prefix CVE and also the year it identified, and the last 5 digits carries the unique identifier. So this CVE has 10 out of 10. So calculated based on multiple categories: base score, temporal, and environmental, and then overall score will be calculated. So this base score, if you see, it is 10 out of 10. So the whichever the rating, the critical between 9 to 10, which is very critical, you should patch your system immediately, and high 7 to 8.9 and so on. So if you there is a calculator available in the online, and if you just input some of the answers to the calculator, it will automatically give you the score. So 10 out of 10 means basically without with or low effort, you can easily take the control of the remote system. So that is why this CVE is very, very critical to patch. So by simply sending some of the request or some command, you can operate the system. So basically, you can get some objects from the system. You can read some API keys, or you can manipulate some files, or you can download some files. So you can do whatever you want. Basically, the system is yours. So once this exploitation is done, so that is why it's very, very critical and important to patch for this vulnerability. And when it comes to testing, so what needs to be done? Because we work every day, we work with multiple tools and solutions. So one of the commonly used performance testing tool, of course, JMeter. And when it when the CV got released, 44228 in December second week. So at that time, the latest version of JMeter was 5.4.1. So 5.4.1 uses Log4j 2.13.3, which is vulnerable. So JMeter team took the action swiftly and immediately patched with 2.16 in the 5.4.2 version. But within a few days, again, the exploitation got more sophisticated. So Log4j team has released another patch, and again, JMeter has to release 5.4.3. So as of today, the version is 5.4.3, the latest version. But the latest version of Log4j is 2.17.1. Actually, we are behind one minor version. So I hope in next couple of weeks, JMeter team will release 5.5. So with 2.17.1. So suppose if you're using very older version of JMeter, what you can do is there are multiple ways you can prevent your system. One is by removing the lookup feature. So there is a class path command you can send it, which will disable the particular feature. But I will recommend to upgrade everything to the latest version as possible. So if you go to library folder within JMeter home, you can see the Log4j jars, which has API core and other implementation. So these jars needs to be replaced with the latest ones. So that's how you can prevent your system. Simply by searching your host and fixing it will not solve the problem, because it needs a more sophisticated method of fixing the issues. And again, let us talk about Tricentis Neoload. So Neoload also one of the popular tool among performance engineers. So as of today, the latest version of Neoload is 8.0.2, which uses the 2.17.1. So JMeter uses 2.17.0, but Neoload is using the very latest version. So if you go to Neoload home, library, Log4j, again you can see these four files. So if you have seen uh, old version, then you have to update it to the latest version. Okay, again, Load Runner. So Microfocus ecosystem, again, they have released the patch. And again, Load Runner Cloud got impacted. Vusion also got impacted. So if you're using 12.6 to 2021 or 2, you have to patch it immediately. They have some resolution where, again, by disabling the lookup feature, you can prevent the attacks. But I don't recommend it. Recommendation is to download the official patch. But the catch is here, you should have the valid support contract. So it is not available publicly. So you should have the you should be the paying customer to Micro Focus to download the patch. So you have to go to their support site and you have to download the patch. So apart from the tools, performance testing tools, everybody will be using APM tools like Dynatrace, Neuralink, Splunk. So all the vendors, they have released the patch for the Log4j. So you have to go to their respective website and you have to follow the instructions to patch it immediately. Okay, next, let us talk about no Log4j. So there are tools, performance tools in the market which doesn't use Log4j. So Grafana K6, again, it's based on Golang, so they don't use Log4j. And Gatling, so surprisingly, Gatling, they don't use Log4j. So Gatling using is one of the JVM language, Scala. So I was on the assumption they use Log4j, but they don't. They use Logback. So it's another fork of Log4j. It's very older version of Log4j, I think 1.0. So they forked that Log4j and then they created Logback, but Logback, they don't have that feature. So it's not vulnerable. And Eggplant Performance, they don't use Log4j, and Locust, again, Python based tool. So there's no need to have the Log4j utility. So these are the tools which will give you some peace of mind with respect to Log4j incident. And if you're using these tools, you are good. So next, the obvious question would be how you can identify the incidents, how you can remediate, right? So let us see some of the tools which will help you to identify the potential issues in your network. So I have listed a mix and match of both open source and commercial. So when it comes to open source, again, Threat Mapper, again, Neuralink also released the open source version of Log4j. So of course, there are a lot of 100+ tools are available. There are hundreds of tools available in GitHub and GitLab repository. You can just, if you simple search, if you do, you will get a lot of tools. But again, enterprises, they might not be rely on open source technology. They might go with something commercial enterprise grade like Tanium or Snike. So it depends on your ecosystem, depends on your budget, and depends on your skill set, whatever the security team is approving. So based on this, you can explore these tools to identify the issues. So these tools provide some kind of a deep root scan. So just simply, as I said, searching for Log4j star in your local system or your host system might not potentially fix the issue. So you need something deep scanning. So these are the tools which help you to do that, and it will also help you to find the dependencies, which version you have, and what are the steps you can take. So they will display each CVE score in the dashboard, and you can easily remediate just by simply navigating to their platform. So it's up to you whether you want to embrace open source or whether you want to go enterprise grade. So it's depends on multiple factors. Okay. So now let us talk about future incidents. So Log4j happened, yes, but Log4j will not stop. That is sure. And it might take multiple variants, sophisticated. The attacks might be more sophisticated than now. So how you can prevent yourself from these kind of attacks, not just Log4j, in just all the attacks in general. So first thing, from experience, I'm not a security expert, but I'm interested in security and other related domains. So first thing, you have to collaborate with your security team. So collaboration, there are tools, there are a life cycle, there are some frameworks available like DevSecOps, SecOps to collaborate with the security team. So security team, they are the people who will come to know about these issues first in hand before it goes viral. So whenever you develop some feature, whenever you implement some infrastructure for performance testing for automation, always get a buy-in from the security team. So security team, they will have the list of approved softwares, approved patches, etc. So you have to get a buy-in from the security team, then create the solution based on that. So you cannot just download some public GitHub repository library or experimental features or alpha or beta feature. So that might lead issues in future. So intermittently, you can solve the problem, but for the long run, for when it comes to security, that might not be the a good idea. And always update and upgrade tools. I have seen people are very reluctant to upgrade and update. Whenever I see some issues in LinkedIn and I just ping them, they ask, okay, what's the issue? They share some decade-old JMeter, like 3.0 something, and outdated samplers. So these are the things, again, temporarily might solve the problem, but on the long run, again, you are missing a lot. So whenever the security team approves, whenever the new patches coming up, you have to upgrade as soon as possible. At least upgrade to the latest stable version. Then minor patches you can take it slowly. And again, when the third point, automating tests. So I have seen people never integrate their tests to the pipeline, so they run independently. So that again, that will not solve the problem. So if you integrate your pipeline to the enterprise or with the development team, that will help you to find the issues, whether it's respect to security, performance, regression. So all kind of issues you can easily fix by integrating your pipeline. Of course, it will break, but when you keep improving the pipeline, you will get the benefit out of it. And at last, zero trust framework. So many enterprises follow this framework. So zero, those who do not know about this zero trust, so it's a very high level. So the least privilege access to anyone. So that is the mantra of this zero trust framework. Suppose you have a team of performance engineers and they want to spin up some EC2 instance in AWS. So they will have some access key and secret. And if the policy, like administrator policy attached to that particular user, then they can do whatever they want. So that is not really required for an engineer to do that. So for them, you can just restrict the access. Say within this region, they can spin up only 5 instances with only T2 small or M4 large. So only these family they can spin up. Anything apart from that, they you can restrict. So these kind of restrictions you can bring it in your own customized framework, so that it will not get compromised. Even if it is compromised, the attacker will have only the restricted access. And again, you can implement multi-factor authentication and rotating the keys, expiring passwords. So these are the some of the commonly used methods to prevent your network. So these are the 4 points you can take. And of course, as I said, Log4j will never stop. It will take more. It will get more sophisticated. So it is your responsibility to prevent these kind of attacks for your network. So that's all. That's all I wanted to tell you. So now I can take some questions.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks, NaveenKumar. Yeah, we do. We already have a couple questions here. Here's one. I'm going to show this here. So this is from Nick Gregory. It's all yours.
Okay, exposure in JMeter. What is the actual exploitable surface? So, okay, the exploitable surface would be your machine, basically, your host. So they can just simply send some request and then they can manipulate the objects in your host machine. So only way is you should not use Log4j. And if you're using Log4j, you have to update to the latest patch. So that's the solution.
All right. There's another question here from Santosh Kumar. Any impact on cloud-based tools like StormRunner?
StormRunner, yes. So StormRunner, again, for list of products, you can see the Micro Focus website. But the StormRunner, again, it uses the backbone of LoadRunner. So they will, I think, analysis and other things, they don't use Log4j. But load generators, it uses Log4j library. So you have to patch it immediately.
Okay, great. Let's see. While we're seeing if anyone else has any other questions, I guess, so what happens if someone doesn't, just sort of ignores what's happening with all this Log4j? What's the impact going to be on them?
So if there is no patch available, if the system becomes vulnerable, that is the first thing. And anybody using that particular whatever details they have, they can manipulate the system. So only thing is updating the patch. That's the only way. Or you should not use Log4j at all in your ecosystem. So they can do whatever they want. They can create some files, they can download files, they can read some environment variables from the host machine. So they can do whatever they want. They can take the whole system down.
All right. Here's another question for you.
Zero Trust Framework. So Zero Trust Framework is a popular and widely used framework in all enterprises. So this framework says how the security should be for your network and your systems. So the main objective of this framework is the least privilege. So you should not give the access whatever the engineers want. So there should be some policy in effect, and only the relevant access should be there. And once the job is done, the access should be revoked as soon as possible. So it should not be a permanent access. So every 15 days or every 30 days, auditing should happen, and if there anything catches in the audit, it should be remediated immediately.
All right. And we have another question here. I'll show this up here.
How it can be impacted with this vulnerability? As I said, the whole system become vulnerable once the attacker attacks your system. It is no longer yours. So the attacker can completely take down your data and everything.
Definitely something people need to keep an eye on. And there's no time to wait.
Yes, yes,
Um,
10 out of 10. So 10 out of 10 means it is paramount to fix it.
right.
ASAP.
Right. Great. All right. Well, I'm glad we had a chance to work through some of those technical issues there,
Yes.
and that we got several questions in here. So NaveenKumar, thanks again for being part of Load Test World.
Thank you, Chris, for the opportunity. Have a good day.